Hello, everyone. This is Bishal Gewali. It has been a while, so good to be back. Uh, you know, uh, I keep saying that we give too much importance to people that have done little for humanity, and we give very little importance to people that have done too much for humanity. Uh, I have nothing against, like movie stars, sports stars, and other people in the field of entertainment. I appreciate the work, and I think it takes huge amount of hard work too. But I feel that we are too much passionate about them. There are so many fans of these stars, but we do not give a lot of importance to people who have worked hard to make human lives better. People who made the internet, for example, people who made cars, people who made planes, people who discovered medicines to treat us when we are ill. Uh, all these people, I'm pretty sure that most of us don't even know the names of these people, much less about their biography. But we know about what a famous superstar ate for breakfast, or what a famous superstar uh, is going to get, or when a famous superstar is going to get pregnant, what their child's name is going to be. We know all this unnecessary information about so many people, but we don't even know things like who made penicillin, for example, or who made a computer, who developed Google, for instance. Like things are stuff that actually have helped us to make our lives better. Um, anyway, that's not the point that I'm planning to discuss today. What I'm planning to discuss today is something that I read recently, and it quite fascinated me. Uh, let's talk about Albert Einstein. He's a famous physicist. I probably he's the most famous physicist, and probably he's the most famous person uh, from science who became famous, although he was not a sports person or a Hollywood actor. He became famous just for doing science, and that is quite interesting in itself. Um, I'm a big fan of Einstein. I have read a lot of things about him. I like watching documentaries about him. I'm fascinated with the prospect of having a theory of everything. Uh, I am astounded by the implications of his theory of relativity. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is last week I was wondering, I was thinking about Einstein. I was wondering, I don't know why he died. I don't know how he died. And that intrigued me, and I wanted to read about it. I started researching about Einstein's death, and I found something very interesting, which I want to share with you all today. And I think you'll find it interesting too. So, Albert Einstein died at the age of 76 in the year 1955. So it was not, you know, it was not that he died young. He lived his life. He died at the age of 76, which is pretty good life span. At that time, the average life expectancy was not what it is today. So 76 is a pretty good age. But the reason for his death is very interesting. He died of abdominal aortic aneurysm. This is a medical term. Medical people will understand it, but I'll try to explain. Abdominal aortic aneurysm. So abdominal aorta is the main artery, the main blood vessel in our abdomen that takes blood from the heart and supplies to uh, the organs in the abdomen, and goes down and bifurcates to our legs. Um, but the interesting thing is abdominal aortic aneurysm is not a common cause of death. It's a very uncommon cause of death. It's not, like having lung disease or heart disease or cancer. It's a very uncommon cause of death. So what abdominal aortic aneurysm means is that the aorta, the abdominal aorta gets dilated abnormally, it becomes wider than normal. There are different varieties of it. Aneurysm is there will be an outpouching of the blood vessel, and there will be a small sac blood vessel, which is abnormal. But the thing is, if we take 100 people walking on the street and do a CT scan on them, it's not uncommon to find abdominal aortic aneurysm. There will be several people who will have a dilated abdominal aorta, who will have a dilated blood vessel, but not all of them are going to die. So people die if the dilatation keeps increasing, and then one day it bursts, it ruptures it, and then it's a life-threatening emergency. If it does rupture, then the probability of dying is quite high. It's a life-threatening condition if it bursts. So we do not need to go into too many technical details, but not all abdominal aortic aneurysm burst. There are criteria to make a prediction about which aneurysm is going to burst in the future and which is not. And this criteria, of course, is not always 100% accurate, but it's pretty good. But the thing is, yeah, Einstein had his abdominal aortic aneurysm burst, and that was the cause of his death. Many people will have have a dilated and abnormally wide or outpouching of the blood vessels, especially aorta, but not all of them are going to die, and not all of that is going to burst. So having a abdominal aortic aneurysm in itself is not that uncommon, but it actually bursting and killing you is uncommon. So Einstein apparently died of this uncommon phenomenon. An extra interesting piece of information is that so he had bursting of his abdominal aortic aneurysm and got admitted in the hospital, and the doctor came and said, okay, do you want to undergo surgery? We can take it to the operating theater and try to repair it, repair the aorta and try to save a life. Usually if you find it before it has burst and it is actually quite big and you think it's going to burst, then you can do prophylactic surgery before it bursts. You can repair it, and that's what we do. But in this case, it had already ruptured. So the doctor offered that, okay, we can still take it to surgery and we can try to repair it and save a life. But apparently Einstein declined that. Einstein said, if it's my time to go, I'll go. I don't want surgery. And that is something that quite fascinates me. I read about these great people, many great people, and it seems that a majority of them are not actually afraid of death. They take it with peace and calm, and as Einstein said, if it's my time to go, I'll go. And I don't think this is just a coincidence that many great people take death with peace and calm. Death as just another transition in the spectrum. There is a saying that the death of a caterpillar is the birth of a butterfly, right? A child inside the womb of a mother might be thinking that he or she is dying as they're coming out of the uterus, but when they come out of the uterus, we call it the birth of a baby. So I don't know, like this is something that you can only experience subjectively, and you get to experience death, near death, only once in your lifetime. Near death probably a couple of times, death once in your lifetime. And once you have that experience, you cannot come back to share your experience. That's why it's intriguing and enigma, and especially as an oncologist, I have seen so many patients with cancer towards the very end of their life, and for some reason, I get a feeling that most of the people who are towards the end of their life, they actually have an understanding that we do not, and they take it, they take death as with surprising calm and peace. Maybe that is something to think about. Coming back to Einstein, one more interesting thing. Okay, so why he got abdominal aortic aneurysm? Of course, we don't know. As with so many things in medicine, we never have a clear answer of why, what causes this. But Einstein's close friend, who was also a physician, thinks that Einstein got abdominal aortic aneurysm from syphilis. As you know, syphilis is a sexually transmitted infection. And this close friend of Einstein, who is a physician, knows about Einstein's lifestyle, and he says that Einstein is used to be quite sexually promiscuous. He used to be very sexually active and multiple partners, and this is something that I think other people have also verified. Like other people have also said the same thing. So probably this is true that Einstein was quite sexually active and he had multiple partners. So it's logical that he might have had syphilis, but this is not proven. It has not been proven that Einstein did have syphilis, but that's what his close friend, a physician friend, says is probably the case. And the interesting thing is syphilis is indeed linked with abdominal aortic aneurysm. Not a very strong association. In the past, people used to think that syphilis has a very strong association with abdominal aortic aneurysm. Nowadays, they say that the association is a little less than what we previously thought it was, but still there is an association with syphilis and abdominal aortic aneurysm. But syphilis is not the only cause for abdominal aortic aneurysm. As you know, like Einstein's brain was preserved after his death, and probably they ran a bunch of tests, but there has not been any hard evidence that Einstein did have syphilis. So that's like an educated guess, especially because his friend told it. But if it was true, then it would have been such a funny comedy from the universe. This guy who was trying to figure out the theory of the universe, was trying to understand the universe, gets sexually active and catches syphilis from somewhere that causes abdominal aortic aneurysm, and it bursts, and he dies without figuring out the universe. It is, in fact, a comedy if you think about it. I like to think of the universe as a I don't know how to put it. Yeah, let's say the divine comedy. The universe is a playful puppy that that is living with us, through us, and participating in this whole drama that is equally funny and sometimes tragic. Yeah, so I thought you would find it very interesting to know how Einstein died, what he died of. I read it the other day, and I just wanted to share it with you. I'll keep sharing such stories as I read them in the future. Thanks. Take care.